Assalamualaikum everyone. Uh, Alhamdulillah, we are meeting here on Blackboard, although it was not working in the morning, but Alhamdulillah working now. So to start the proceedings, I'll be explaining slides from chapter 1 today, and in the end I will give you some tasks for the next class. Let me share the slides here. I have just uploaded the slides on Teams and on Blackboard. Okay, so you can see them. So these slides are from the first chapter, which are about profession of transportation. Okay, so we will talk about in general, why transportation is important, what are the benefits and disbenefits of transportation, and so on and so forth. Starting with the importance of transportation. Why do you have courses of transportation? Why you have so many specializations in transportation? And I will explain you further why there are so many resources consumed by the transportation sector. Let us look at what a good transportation system can do for you. So you can see some points here. First of all, it can allow a specialization of industry or commerce. So, for example, if I asked you which country has the best cars, okay, some of you will say USA, some of you will say Germany, some of you will say Japan. Now, why are you saying these names? Why are you able to say these names? Because these countries are specializing in this industry. Okay, they are considered specialist, state-of-the-art manufacturers of automobiles. Okay, or any other sector of commerce. Okay, any other sector, people specialize in them. We have countries which specialize in dairy products. Okay, we have countries which specialize in seafood. Okay, so how are these countries able to do so? Are they doing so because their own people are consuming so much of their product? No, they're specializing and they are producing a vast amount of these products, or sending a vast amount of these products to other countries. So specialization is not because they are selling it from a shop to the people who are living in that area. No, they are selling it all across the world. So their specialization is dependent upon provision of good transportation system. Okay, so for example, you have dairy products coming from Saudi Arabia or dairy products coming from some other country. These dairy products cannot be sold here if the transportation system is not good. Okay, and good also means which is appropriate for that product. Okay, so import and export of vehicles needs a bigger arrangement, right? You do it through ships. Import and export of cell phones need some other type of transportation. Import and export of vegetables and dairy products need some arrangement in which their products can be safe as well, because they get spoiled. So if you have a good transportation system, a good access, appropriate access to a market, then you will think about specializing in a product which is required there. If you don't have good access to the market, that product is no longer viable for you. Okay, so if let's say because of any reason the ship transport is banned, then you will have problems in selling cars to other countries. Then the countries which are specializing in car manufacturing will be disrupted a lot. Okay, secondly, good transportation can result in reduction of raw materials and manufactured goods. So when you are, let's say you have an industry for aluminium products. Okay, we have it in Bahrain. So the aluminium has to get out from the quarry, and it has to go to the factory, from where they need some other resources. For example, equipment. They need people. They need other supplies, office supplies. So these supplies will also come to their area, and then from their area they need to distribute products, aluminium products, to the users. So this whole chain needs a good transportation system. Okay, and The prices can go up and down because of the transportation system. Okay, if the transportation system is not available, you are buying product from an area from where the material can only come on trucks, its cost will be higher. But if you are buying a product from an area from where the product is coming by railway, so it's a bulk quantity, its cost will be lower, cost of transport will be lower. And you go to a courier company and you ask them, I want to send this product to this country. They will give you a cost, that is the direct cost. Now you tell them, I want to send this the same product to some other country, they will give you another cost. Okay, so depending upon how frequently they are going to that country. Okay, so if the courier company belongs to, let's say, USA, and they have an office here, they will charge you less for the products which you are sending to USA. Okay, so that is the direct cost, and you can directly see the effect of cost. But when you get the product in your hand, let me tell you, 60 to 70% of the price of that product is because of transportation. Okay, and you would say, no, the transportation cost was only coming from the shop to my house. No, before that, the product got from the company to the shop. Before that, the raw material got from the quarry to the company, and it required some other people to come to the company by transport. So everybody had their share of transportation. So if you have a good transportation which can get the things faster from one place to another, less time, less cost, eventually the cost of the material and the cost of the product will be less. Okay, like I said, it will be 60 to 70% of the actual price of the product. So if you reduce that, then you reduce everything else. It increases competition between different regions. I talked about specialization. Okay, so a country specializes in car or cell phone or anything else, and let's say that is the only country which is selling that product to you. That country can charge you anything. If you have a phone like an iPhone, okay, I'm giving an example of the iPhone because Apple still thinks they are the only one in the market. Their prices are like that. But anyways, so if you can only buy iPhone and there's no other product, then iPhone can charge you anything. Apple can charge you anything. Okay. Similarly, a car. If you have only one company which is providing cars to Bahrain, that company can charge you anything, and they can provide you anything in the car. They can say, okay, we don't have seat belts. We will charge you extra for the seat belts. They are the only one there. They can charge you anything. With increased competition, you will have reasonable prices. Okay, and you will have good quality as well. Okay, because obviously you have, okay, this is higher, but with this higher prices they are providing 100 more features. This is slightly lower, but they are providing none of these features. Okay, so you get reasonable within a reasonable range of price range. Obviously some companies charge you higher, some companies charge you lower, and so on and so forth. But there is a competition. Okay, so you are not stuck. Okay, let me give you the other extreme. The electricity and water is provided by EVA. Now, tomorrow, if EVA announces that we are going to charge 1 milli extra for every unit of electricity, can you go and tell them, okay, we will not take the your product? No, they are the only one in the market. Okay, and so unless you convince them from somewhere else that you cannot charge at this much, you cannot disconnect their service. Okay, so because they don't have any competition. Okay, if you had more competition, you can pressurize them just by your use. Okay, another important thing is you need the product to come to you from different sources to have this competition. So you need good transportation system from many other sources. Okay, then we have so even the pipelines you have, the the water pipeline, the electricity lines are also a mean of transportation. They are transporting water and electricity to your house. Then a good transportation system provides you choices. Okay, so this is again related to the above point. If you have product coming from different sources, then each source may give you some option. Okay, so for example, when iPhone came with the three camera option, so those three cameras were in a triangle. Okay, and then I bought this another phone, Huawei. Okay, you can see it here, and the cameras are in a line. Okay, so if I don't like the triangle, I like a line. So I can buy this. Okay, I don't like the color, I don't like the shape, I don't like the sound, whatever. So I have the choice. Okay, I have the choice within the specifications. Okay, so the choice is provided if you have multiple sources. Then you can maximize the use of natural resources and productivity of the people. I already gave you the example for the raw material. So that is the use of natural resources. Okay, so you have a quarry for aggregates, but from that quarry to any other site, there is no highway, there is no road. So obviously that quarry will be unutilized. Nobody will be able to use it. Okay, let me give you a real example from Pakistan. In Pakistan, we have Gwadar Port, which is considered as the best port, one of the best in the world, in terms of its geography and in terms of its uh, natural arrangement. Okay, but few years ago there was no highway from that port to any other part of the country, so that port was completely unutilized. Okay, then they built a highway. Now there's lot of there's people are building their houses around the port. The port is operational. China is investing in that port and so on and so forth. Okay, why? Because now you can use a natural resource. That what was the natural resource? The port. But still, if you connect it to the other parts, then it is usable. Otherwise, no use. And the better you connect it, more use will it be. If I connect it to one area, okay, people from one area will be using it. If I connect it to multiple areas through multiple means, more usage. Okay, how can it affect the productivity of the people? You are going to your office and you are stuck in a traffic jam for half an hour. So when the time you get to your office, you are already depressed, frustrated, angry. Okay, so obviously that will reflect in your work as well. Okay, you will not do the things properly. Okay, or on the other hand, if you are coming from your house to your office in 10 minutes, you are driving at 100 kilometers per hour, you do not get to stop on any signal. So obviously you get to your office and you feel you are blessed. Okay, you are fresh and you are thanking your god, and so you are motivated. Okay, so this is how the productivity can increase. So what is affecting your mood is the traffic system which was given to you. Okay, so this is how it can maximize the productivity of the people as well. Then transportation system is also necessary for government services, providing government services. I already gave you the example of electricity and water. Then for mail, post, defense, police officers cannot work at home. Okay, even with the corona, they have to be on the field. Police officers, army, and so on and so forth. So defense requires transportation network. Then assisting territories which are not directly linked to the main area, the cities. You will have few rural areas and small areas in which few people are living, but they are still living there. They are part of the they are under the jurisdiction of the government. They are their responsibility. They have to provide them these services as well. So the connection of these areas to the main areas also requires transportation system, and these areas need to be served as well by defense and post and health and bank and so on. So transportation system is important for the survival of these territories. Then transportation system consumes a lot of your resources. 13% of the money which you are spending on your household goes to transportation sector, and more than 10% of the workforce related to transportation sector. So from every 10 workers, one is working in the transportation sector. Driver, conductor, truck driver, chauffeur, taxi driver, consultants, contractors, transport ministry of works, traffic department. Yeah? So there are so many areas. So 10% of the people are working in the transport sector, and in some countries it can go more than that as well. But this is an average figure. I checked it from multiple sources. Then these are some of the evidences of the transportation importance of transportation. Some evidences. For example, if you look throughout the history till now, the countries which you call as developed countries. Okay, let me close the WhatsApp. It keeps on coming. You can see my messages, which is not good. Okay, so the countries which were called as developed countries, like the Roman Empire, okay, or which are now called as developed countries like USA, Singapore, China, Japan, all of them have one thing in common. as per their own generation, their own time period, they had the best transportation system of that time. Roman Empire obviously they did not have trains, and but for their time it was best. Nowadays, Japan, Singapore, China, they have the best. They are way ahead of the other regions. If you compare the transportation uh, vehicles, okay, electric, they have electric vehicles, high speed rails, metros. So if you compare these things with countries like Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, India, they are way ahead. Okay, so this is something common in all the developed nations. So that means transportation is playing some part in it. Okay, then I already gave you the example for industries. Transportation, a high quality transportation system is very important for developed and industrialized society, and I already gave you the reasons. Okay, because of provision of raw materials, because of getting their products to other countries, and so on and so forth. Then another evidence for maritime systems. Britishers, French, French, and Portuguese. They used to have colonies around the world. Why? Because they had good maritime systems, so they can get quick access to those areas. So, for example, Britain in 1900s it was called as the empire on which the sun never sets. So there was always a region sun was shining on some part of the empire. So they had these colonies from Africa to Asia, and why? Because of they had well developed maritime systems. Uh, same thing with France, same thing with Portugal. So these countries ruled most of the world because of good maritime systems. Then, still now, sustainable transportation is considered as one of the global sustainable development goals. SDG means sustainable development goals, and it has been set by United Nations 2015. So let me introduce these sustainable development goals are the issues on which the whole world will work together for the whole millennium. Okay, so you can see how much is the importance of the transportation sector for everybody. Okay, so that's why the whole millennium is one of the prominent issues in the whole millennium. Okay, let me tell you something. It happened in the last section as well. I have this screen in front of me. I can only see the slides. I cannot see if you are typed something. Okay, so like I told you earlier, you can open your audio or video and you can ask your question so I can listen to you. I finished my lecture and then I saw that there was a question from, I don't know, 15 minutes ago. Okay, don't do that. Don't be so shy. Please, you are in us. Okay, if you don't want your video to be on, just ask a question with an audio. Okay, you are all classmates. If it had been on campus, how would you interact with me? Everybody can see you. Okay, so if you cannot say something in the class, and I don't see the point of you becoming an engineer. Okay, every engineer has to interact with someone. Okay, so please, okay, don't be so shy. Okay, this is part of your profession. Okay, don't want your video, fine, audio will do. Okay, I'm not forcing you, but if you are waiting till the end of the class, by the end of the class the lecture will be over. Okay, I will not spend, I will not keep 10 minutes for asking questions. It will be 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, and you had your question half an hour ago, I may not even see it. Okay, now why we are talking about sustainable development, sustainable transportation? What is the bad thing about transportation? So transportation system have their costs and benefits. Okay, cost mean what? Cost doesn't mean money only. It includes everything which you are spending on the system out of your pocket. Okay, by you I don't mean you yourself, I mean the government, the contractor, the people, anybody who is spending on the system to construct the system and to get the system operational. Okay, so costs include these: energy to build the system. Okay, you need energy to hit the asphalt, you need energy to get the material to the site, you need energy for providing some lighting on the site, and so on. You need material for construction, you need land for construction. Highways occupy 25% of your total land. And if you consider all types of transportation, including airports and ports and railways and buses, then it consumes 50% of your total land area. So 50% of your total land area is consumed by transportation. So you can imagine how big of an impact it is. Okay. And then once the system is operational, we have accidents. Okay, these accidents can cause human lives. These accidents can cause injuries. These accidents can cause disabilities. These accidents cause property damages, damages to the vehicle, damages to the barriers and poles and walls and so on and so forth. So all these things are a type of cost. Then we have noise pollution. All sorts of transportation produce noise. Okay, noise because of engine, noise because of friction, noise because of horns, and so on and so forth. Then they spoil the natural beauty of an area. Every natural element in the area has its own beauty, even if it's a desert. And we see a lot of desert and we don't, you know, value it that much. But there are countries which are trying to preserve their deserts. Okay, so desert is, again, alhamdulillah, it is created by God, so it has its own natural beauty as well. So even in the desert area or mountainous area or a jungle or whatever, over a river, whatever the natural element is, you are spoiling its natural beauty by building your infrastructure. So it is the cost. You are changing the environment. You are changing the lifestyle of the people and the species which are around the transportation system. Okay, so people may have to shift. Some birds may be dying. Some other insects may migrate and so on and so forth. You are causing air pollution and water pollution. Water pollution for the ships, and then you consume energy for running the vehicles, electrical energy, fuel, and so on. Okay, so we have some costs, we have lots of costs, but we have the benefits as well. These are the benefits. I talked about them in the previous slide as well. So they include the economic benefits. I already told you the cost and the prices and the competition and so on. They provide you utility and services, especially to rural areas, because rural areas are far from the commercial areas, and they provide you socializing as well. Okay, you may have experienced during this corona virus thing that socializing has become less. Okay, because you cannot meet that person, you cannot go to their house, or they are not available and so on and so forth. Although you have WhatsApp and you have other mediums, but they are not that effective. You person to person interaction can never be underestimated. Okay, obviously it's, you can see that it is a phenomena which will die with my generation, because you people are now more accustomed to interacting on uh, you know messages and so on. Just now one student was asking me, can I present, just keep in mind the word, can I present my topic on chat? Can you imagine? Okay, presenting something on chat, seriously? Okay, how can call it presentable if it's in a chat? Okay, so you guys are growing faster than what we can you know take on. So anyway, but socializing, face to face socializing has its own benefits. Okay, what are the carriers in transportation sector? Transportation sector can accommodate many carriers. For example, logistics and supply chain management. uh, so what is meant by that? Logistics, transporting material, transporting things. You may have seen it on airports, they call it, or on trucks, okay, which are transporting materials, so they call it logistics. But what is supply chain? Supply chain is a whole process in which the raw material gets to the factory, it is processed in the factory, and then the final product is get to the customer's house. That's the whole process of supply chain. So you have to manage it. Okay, and obviously it includes lots of logistics, drugs and ships and transport of material, transport of machinery, okay, packaging, and distribution to shops and so on, so forth, delivery systems and so on. You may So it is a distribution of assets, distribution of resources, materials. Okay, uh, so it is more related to management. You are having some idea about that in the courses of construction management and construction engineering. Okay, construction management and construction engineering. So they may be telling you what is the best way to get the product on the site, how to schedule it so that you don't have a pile of raw material on the site without using, and so on and so forth. Okay, how you can store the material and so on. So these are part of supply chain management. Okay, they are basically done by people who are involved in management profession. Then we have vehicle design and transportation services. It is the application of mechanical, electrical, and aerospace engineering skills for the design of vehicles and other transportation services. So design of cars, buses, rails, uh, design by design including manufacturing as well. So airplanes and ships and so on. So it used to be covered by mechanical engineering, but now within the mechanical engineering, they have different disciplines. For example, they will have automotive engineering, marine engineering, aeronautical, yes, aeronautical and aerospace engineering. I don't know which one is related to airplanes, but they have these different fields which are related to vehicle design. Then this one is the most important thing for us: transportation infrastructure services. So this is mainly related to civil engineers. What is infrastructure? Infrastructure is the skeleton of a system, okay, or it is the backbone of a system. So if you are in a building, the what is the infrastructure of the building? Columns, beams, roofs, they are part of the infrastructure. Why? Because if you don't have these things, then the building is not there. The building is not operational. The building is non-existent, and so on. Similarly, for transportation, you need highways, roads, bridges, tunnels, airports, ports, okay, and bus terminals and bus stops and pedestrian crossings and signals, roundabouts. There are so many things. So who build all these things? Who builds and manages all these things? They are the civil engineers. Okay, so civil engineers provide design, construction, operation, and maintenance of the whole infrastructure of the transportation system. Then within civil engineering, we have different fields which are related to transportation infrastructure, and they are at different they are involved at different steps of the transportation system. So the first step is planning. What is planning? You have some data from your previous data about population, data about traffic demand, and transportation services and so on. So you analyze that data and you forecast, predict what is going to happen with these things in the future, and then you propose and evaluate different projects for the conditions which may happen in the future. So you have to develop multiple options, and for each option you will do the evaluation. Which option is more economical, feasible? Which option has less environmental damage, and so on. Then you select a project on the basis of your evaluation. Then you do the design, and designing is done in different parts. Geometric design will be covered in this course. We have pavement design. We have a course for pavement design as well. Okay, so and it is being offered. Hopefully, you will take it. Drainage design, half covered in pavement design and half covered in the course related to water resources. Okay, and then we have a structural design. Okay, so we have courses for structures in which you will uh, learn to design steel structures for bridges and trusses and bridges, concrete bridges, and so on. Then you go for the construction, and construction is done different steps. So first of all, the first step is surface preparation. Remove any obstacles, remove uh, any other thing which can hinder the construction, clean and clear the surface. Then you do the grading, prepare the slope, then you lay out the pavement. And pavement doesn't mean asphalt. Pavement has multiple layers of made up of aggregates and asphalt and so on. And then on top of the pavement, you may have bridges as well. Now some of the steps may not be applicable to specific projects. For example, you may have a site which is already cleaned and cleared, okay, because of some other thing. So you don't do the surface preparation. In some cases, you don't need bridges, okay. But these are the steps, and some of the steps may not be applicable to specific projects. Then we come to the next step, which is the operation and management of the system. And operation and management, first of all, you have to manage traffic. Okay, so you have to manage. You have to you know uh, you have to see how a person can go to uh, point A from point B and so on. What will be the route, which streets he can use, okay, and what highways will he use, and what transportation modes he can use. Will he require a bus service? Okay, if he is going by a car, does he have enough safety on the highway and so on? Okay, so, traffic operation or management of traffic means you manage and operate traffic flow. Okay, you make sure there is less congestion, less delay, and so on. Okay, so management of operation of traffic flow. Okay, so that is one part of it. Then the maintenance of the infrastructure. Okay, the repair work. Okay, so you need to repair the highways, the signals, the roundabouts. Okay, they can have some minor faults, cracks, some bulbs may not be working. If you have a steel bridge, there may be some other type of repair work. Okay, so maintenance means repair work. Then we have intelligent transportation technologies. Let me tell you what do we mean by that. Intelligent transportation technologies are those devices or technologies which are installed on the road and they work without human intervention at that time. For example, smart signals. So you have a signal connected to a sensor, and that sensor can give the traffic count to the signal, and the signal can change its timing according to how much traffic it has. So this is an example of intelligent transportation system. Another example is what we all know. We may not know about smart signals, but we all know about this one, which is the traffic cameras. So everybody knows about traffic cameras. You cannot drive in Bahrain without knowing about traffic cameras. Okay, single most important thing in our lives. So these traffic cameras do what? They can detect your speed. They can detect if you are running a red light. And somebody told me that there are cameras which can detect the use of cell phones as well. But I'm hoping they are not true. But anyways, so these traffic cameras are also a part of intelligent transportation systems, intelligent transportation technologies. Okay, so you need to incorporate these technologies within your system. You need to use them. You need to know how to use them, where to use them. Okay, and then you do the surveillance. Now there's a problem for safety and security on the highways. Okay, terrorist activities and accidents and so on. So you have to do the surveillance as well. You need cameras. You need a response system. People who can come on in case of an emergency, ambulance services and so on. Okay, so these are all part of surveillance. Then control. Traffic control means two things. First of all, making laws and regulations to control traffic, uh, licenses, speed limits, signal system, and so on. So you make laws and regulations, lane markings and so on, and then you implement these laws and regulations and communicate these laws and regulations to the driver. So communication can be done in the form of formal lectures, like you have lectures during licensing, or they give lectures in the schools as well. Sometimes you can have you can communicate to the drivers through traffic signs and markings and so on. Okay, so marking is communicating a message to you, right? How many lanes are there, which lane for straight, which lane. So these marking and everything are part of the control. Okay, they are communicating some laws and regulations to you. So control means establishing laws and regulations, then communicating it to the driver. So these are all part of operations and management. Okay, managing traffic flow, okay, in terms of getting from one point to the other, maintenance of infrastructure, use new technologies, intelligent technologies, doing surveillance for emergency and security, and then controlling and implementing the laws and regulations. Then with this whole process, design, construction, operations management, you have gained some experience from the field. You must have learned some new things now. Okay, so on the basis of these new things, you get some data from the field. Okay, and you analyze the data from coming from different projects, past projects. I'm talking about past projects now. Okay, not future projects, past projects. Then you learn some lessons from it, and the basis of that you see that where are we lagging behind. So we need to do something to improve. Okay, so we need to do our own research and development, and sometimes we need to do some technology transfer as well. Maybe there is a solution available in some other country, and we need to use it, like electric vehicles. You may feel that uh, too many accidents, or too much fuel consumption, or too much emissions. So electric vehicles are there. You may have to think about letting them into Bahrain. Or sometimes the technology is available in some other field, but you also use it for traffic. For example, the smart signal systems we have, they are using the algorithm which was initially built for handling the air conditioning of your room, or handling the air conditioning of an building. Okay, so they are using the same algorithm. So the algorithm was here. Somebody thought that why don't we use it for signals? Okay, so you do the technology transfer, think about new technologies, or you invent your own new technology, something innovative, and then you move back to the planning stage. What should we do in the future? How we can incorporate this technology and so on. So obviously, uh, you will keep on coming with new projects and so on. So this is a cyclic process. Okay, you gain experience from the old projects and you go on to the new projects. Okay, so that's why you see it's a cycle. So in this cycle, you see different fields which are in which you can specialize as a civil engineer within the field of transportation. So you have the transportation planning field, as I told you, in which you propose and you evaluate different projects. Okay, you gather data about them and you evaluate them on economic basis, environmental basis. Okay, and you consider their design and construction as well. So this is one field. Another field is transportation infrastructure design. I already told you, design means geometric design, structural design, uh, drainage design, and so on and so forth. The one which I showed in the previous slide. Okay, so all of these things are related to civil engineers. Okay, but they are different from the perspective of a transportation project. So when you are designing, you are basically applying your engineering knowledge, the knowledge of the physical laws, natural laws, to design something which can run smoothly and efficiently, and obviously safely as well. Okay, so you are trying to apply the laws of physics and the engineering skills to come up with a facility uh, that can fulfill your needs, fulfill the planning desires. Okay, and then it is also your job to prepare develop detailed plans for your design. So you have to come up with the maps and drawings, and you have to do the cost estimation as well. So if you have been involved in some, or if you have seen any construction project, the maps and designs come from the the consultant, as well as the cost estimation. These things come from the consultant, the person who is designing. Then we have the field work, which involves construction. So construction has, again, I told you the stages: clearing the land and preparing the surface, grading, putting pavement material, and then on top of the pavement material, you may have other things like pavement marking, signals, lights, barriers, medians, shoulders, curbs. Okay, so many things. So all these are part of highway construction. Putting these things on the field is part of highway construction. And then we have traffic operations and management. Okay, and for that we have a field which is known as traffic engineering, and the person who does that is known as traffic engineer. And you will discuss about this field in more detail in the next course, which is traffic engineering. Okay, so some part of that course will be studied here as well. For example, integration of vehicle, driver, and pedestrians, how these things affect each other, how drivers affect vehicle and pedestrians, and vice versa, so on and so forth. So the integration will be learned here as well. Okay, and then in the traffic course we will learn about safety and capacity and so on. Okay, so all these things are part of traffic operations and management. Then we have maintenance operations and management, which is relates to maintenance of the structure itself, not the traffic, but the structure itself, the roads, their surface, the bridges, and so on. Okay, so signals require maintenance, roundabouts, medians, all these things require maintenance. They will need some periodic replacement. They will need some repair work. Okay, so patching, repair work. Okay, the goal of maintenance is to keep the level of serviceability to an acceptable level, the level for which it was designed. If you don't do maintenance, after a few years, the serviceability, the use or the smoothness of the road will vanish. Okay, so the road may have the same capacity, but it may no longer seem usable because of lack of maintenance. Okay, now what are the challenges that we face as transportation engineers? The first challenge is to meet the expectation of the people. And what are they expecting from transportation system? Their system will be efficient, okay, efficient in getting them from one place to the other, efficient in terms of accessing the system. Okay, so we have a new highway, but nobody can use that highway because it is not connected to an area where people are living. So this is not efficient. People are not expecting that. Okay, what is their expectation? That I can get to the new highway from from my point, and I can use that highway to go to my destination. Should be effective. Okay, effective means should not have delays, should not have accidents. Okay, so effective means it should not it should have less losses, less costs. Remember the costs which I told you about. So the cost, minimize the cost, it means it is more effective. Should be long lasting. Okay, so you have to design a system that can survive for 30, 40, 50 years. This is a big challenge. And it should be safe, obviously. Okay, safety is a primary concern for any type of engineer, and more so for the transportation. So engineer. So in case of transportation, you have the speed limit, you have the number of lanes. So you play around with these things to make it safe for the drivers. And driver are expecting that, okay, if someone designed it for 2 lanes, then that means 2 lanes are enough. Someone didn't put a median here, that means I can go from the other side and I can overtake another vehicle. Okay, and sometimes we go overboard with it. Okay, we expect too much. The speed limit says 100, and we feel since it says 100, that should be safe for 130 as well. Okay, so this is the expectation of the people. You have to meet it. Okay, otherwise people will not change. You have to change. You need to possess a long-term vision of the future. You have to think of what I'm doing right now, how will it affect in the future. Okay, for example, when Wright brothers invented the plane, obviously at that time there were no industries to manufacture planes. There were no airports. There were no airfields. So somebody who is interested in this field has to think that I'm inventing this thing, then I will need these other things with it as well. Okay, so you need to possess a long-term vision. Let me give an example. I heard it yesterday from an Indian doctor, that they are manufacturing electric vehicles on a local level now. They have these manufacturing companies. So the vehicles are not yet in the field, but people are doing studies on how to optimize the location and the algorithm for the charging stations. Okay, see the long-term vision. Okay, so this is the long-term vision. You are doing something now, but you have to think how will this thing get to its desired goal after 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. Okay, and then you have to understand innovation and new technology so that you can make the people make the transport of people and goods in a new and different way, and which can be safe and efficient as well. Okay, so incorporating new technologies to increase safety and so on. For example, now last year they have started these flashing signals. So it's a use of the technology to make the people going through the intersection safer. Okay, and similarly, I gave the example of smart signals and traffic cameras. Okay, so you need to have a knowledge of this technology and where I can use it, so that uh, the eventually the final goal is to make the transportation of people and goods as safe as possible, which may require something new. Distinguish between technology solutions which are competing with each other. Okay, so you may have one problem, and for that problem you have multiple solutions. Which solution you should go for? Okay, so you have problem with emissions. So one solution is let everybody buy electric vehicles. Another solution is build a metro system. Which one would be more successful in your case? It's a challenge, right? How can I say? And I need to be long lasting as well. I need to think about future. So to guess these things, to approximate these things, is a big challenge. You have to be a steward of his investment. Steward means the person who is responsible. So you are getting the investment from the government, and government money is people's money, public money. So you have to be a good, responsible uh, person towards that money. Okay, so you cannot spend billions of BDs just to build a bridge because I want to make it state of the art. I want to use a new material. No, you have to think that this is an investment which belongs to everybody. Okay, I cannot waste it, and you have to think about the cost, not just now for construction. You have to think about the cost of maintenance and operation as well. So you come up with a plan to use a very cheap material, but that cheap material requires a replacement every year. So the construction cost is 50% less, but the maintenance cost is 100% higher. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, or you say, okay, we will not do the maintenance and let it be, and we will do the construction after 10 years again. It will be no, because then you will increase the operation cost of the drivers. Okay, or you are going for a route which is to make that construction cheaper. You are selecting a route which is causing more time to the driver. So for each driver you are increasing, let's say, travel time by 10 minutes. This is a lot. Okay, even increase of 1 minute of travel time for all the drivers is a lot. Okay, so you have to think about the cost of construction, the cost of maintenance, and the cost which will come from the driver as well. Okay, you saw some points are highlighted in the previous slide as well as in this one. I will tell you why they are highlighted at the end. You have to deal with public and their representatives at local public representatives at the state level, at national level. You have to deal with all of them, from a traffic police inspector till a minister. You have to deal with them. Okay, and these people may not have your knowledge, the knowledge you have for transportation systems and so on. Okay, but you have to deal with them, you have to convince them, you have to talk with them, because they are part of your project. Your project is affecting. Okay, and when you are doing so, you have to be good listeners. Okay, you will feel that these people, these representatives, are aggressive towards you. They are not understanding you, they don't want to understand you, but you have to keep something in mind. See what problems they are facing are genuine. They are aggressive because they are facing problems. So somebody may be having health issues because of the construction work going in that area, or because of the noise pollution in that area. So he has genuine issues. Okay, so they will be aggressive. They may not understand you, but in those cases you have to be a good listener. You have to listen to them. If you listen to them, you will understand how to convince them, how you can improve yourself, how you can improve your. Okay, so just because they are uh, coming with an aggressive attitude doesn't mean that you should not listen to them. You have to listen to them, and you have to deal with them. Okay, but deal with them ethically and fairly. Okay, ethically and fairly means you have to be honest. You should be trustworthy. Okay, so people should trust that if you are saying something is bad, then it is bad. If you are saying something is good, then it's good. You are not hiding something. You are a trustful person. Okay, and you have to be honest with everyone. Okay, sometimes we are extra loyal with the client, and we are not facing the public at all. This is wrong. This is not ethical. This is not fair. You have to listen to them, and you have to communicate with them. You have to communicate with everyone fairly. Okay, the, if you are working with a client, so tell the client, if I do this, it will cost you this much extra. Tell them. Don't wait till the end when you have already incorporated that change. Okay, similarly with the public as well. Tell them about, this is a negative effect, this is a positive effect. I already told you there are some costs and there are some benefits. You can convince them by showing the benefits as well. You can convince them. Okay, this can happen. You cannot be unfair, you cannot hide things, you cannot be dishonest and so on. Okay, when you are analyzing the cost and benefits, you have to do it objectively, meaning with some calculations, not using your own judgment. Okay, you have to do some calculations, you have to get some proofs. Okay, you may have to, there are softwares available which can do the simulation for you, which can do the prediction for you. Okay, so you need to use tools and technologies to support your analysis, and you have to disclose it. Okay, all the costs and benefits must be disclosed to everybody. Is what I was saying, being ethical and fair. And the assumptions which you have made, if you have made any assumptions, try to be as objective as possible, to the point, have as many proofs and justifications as possible. But in some cases, you have to make some assumptions because you are talking about future, so you cannot be sure about everything. These assumptions must be communicated as well. They must be disclosed as well. So I'm assuming if I build a metro, people will behave in this manner. So this is my assumption. There are methods to find out people perception as well. Okay, but they work up to some extent because people themselves don't know how they will react for something in future. Okay, so whatever the assumptions are, you have to state them. Deal with thorny issues. Thorn is what? It is a prickly part of the branch of the flower. Okay, so thorny issues are those issues interest of different parties are competing with each other. Okay, so something may be good for one person and may not be good for other person. For example, you are broadening a road, widening a road on which trucks will be operating now. So you are reducing the travel time for the traders, but at the same time you are allowing heavy vehicles in an area which is a residential area. So that is not good for the residents of the area. Okay, widen the road, you will upset the traders. If you widen the road, you will upset the residents. Okay, so you have to deal with these issues with honesty and with fairness. Okay, try to minimize the impacts to the residents as much as possible, and try to facilitate the traders as much as possible. Just to explain on this that example. There can be many other examples. Okay, some of them are given in your book as well. Okay, so I'm finishing here. Let me tell you why these points were highlighted. So you see in these slides, some points are highlighted. First of all, go to the book, fourth edition, fifth edition, doesn't matter, whichever edition. These points are mentioned there. For these points, you will see examples in the book. Read those examples. Then select one or some of these points and search for examples on your own. You can use newspapers, previous project reports, ministry websites. Okay, famous projects normally are they come into the highlights. They come in the news. Okay, so the points which are highlighted, go to the book, read the examples, search the net for one or some of these points, and come up with your own examples. Don't repeat the examples from the book. You cannot repeat the examples from the book. Come up with your own examples. Don't have to do it for all the points. Okay, next class will be a sort of a tutorial. In that tutorial I will ask you guys to explain your examples. So you can have a picture, or you can have a news article, share a link, and then you explain. Again, video is not required, audio is fine. You can show the picture and you can explain, or you can show the file. If you want to prepare the whole presentation, I don't mind. You can do it alone, or you can do it in a group of two. So one or two students, that's it. Okay, so this is what we will do in the next class. Now I am open for questions. If you don't have questions, I will go for the attendance. Huda, which point? Like I said, if you don't speak, see, you send that message 4:21. Now I don't know which point you are talking about. That's why I said you can talk. Okay, you can open your mic and talk. Okay. Yeah, any questions? You can open your mic and you can tell me your question. Don't have to open the video. Okay, don't have to open the video. You can just open the audio, and that's fine. Otherwise I will go for the attendance. So I will, the red point. What's the red point? Red point, which slide? There's no red point. All of them are in black in color. Which red point? I'm requesting you, please open the mic and tell me two what? Two is what? Slide number 2. Point number 2 what?
The size, the slice too. Slide
Which slide? Slide number 2.
2. Yeah. This third one.
I was disconnected. Sorry. So you are talking about this point about sustainable transportation system. So United Nations, you can tell me if you don't listen. United Nations has set up these sustainable development goals in which they are planning to work with all the countries around the world uh, to improve it. So sustainable transportation is one of those goals. How to minimize the impact of transportation? Okay, what new technologies we can use? What are the new methods we can use? This is what they mean by sustainable development goals. Okay.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you, Dictor.
Yeah. And next time, please, try to use the mic. Okay, please.
Inshallah.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we are in extra time. Let me do the attendance and then you can ask me the question. Okay, so others can leave. Muhammad Abdullah, you have to raise your hand or you can say yes in the mic. Okay, Muhammad Abdullah. Muhammad Abdullah. Either you raise your hand or you can say yes in the mic. Muhammad Abdullah is not here. Manal Abdullah. Yeah, good. Noor Ahmad. Noor Ahmad. Yes. Visal Ahmad. Okay. Zahra Ahmad. Zainab Ahmad. Okay. Hala Abdul Karim. Hala Abdul Karim. Not here. Ali. Ali. You need to raise your hand. Okay, good. Mahmoud Ali. Mahmoud Ali. Not here. Okay, Sara Ali. Shauki Ali. Okay, Huda. Okay, she is here. Wala Hassan. Wala Hassan. Okay, you are here. Uh, Huzun Humud. Huzun Humud. Muzun Humud. You need to raise your hand. Wasan Husni. Wasan Husni. Okay. Balkis Isa. Okay. Fatma Madan. Okay. Mahdi. I don't know. Sorry, that's how the name is appearing. Mahdi. Not here. Good. Umar Mahmood. Okay. Ala Manahi. Ala Manahi. Not here. Okay. Muhammad Muhammad. Again. I'm sorry, the name is appearing like that. Okay. Faye Nasir. Or Faye Nasser. Okay, good. Latifa Nasir. Okay. Bayan Saleh. Bayan Saleh. Okay, good. Kausar Syed Miss. Okay. So the absentees are Ala Manahi, Mahdi, Balkis Isa, Wasan Husni, Muzun Hamoud, and Hala Abdul Karim, Wasan Husni. Okay. Okay. I mark you present. Wasan Husni. Okay. Muzun Hamoud and Mahmoud Ali, Hala Abdul Karim, and Muhammad Abdullah. Okay. So see you on Thursday with your slides or pictures or whatever. Okay. All the best. Assalamu